Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to Big Things Kentucky. We on episode 48, Coach.
What's good, Coach? Famous 48, you ready? We're going to switch it up a little bit. We're going NASCAR.
Okay.
Jimmy Johnson, NASCAR champion.
That's my dog. We winning, we riding, baby.
And my guy, Daryl Moose Johnson.
Moose Johnson, baby, for
From
the Cowboys.
the Cowboys in their heyday when they actually won championship. What's going on, man? I'm Coach Bew. My main man, Coach TB behind the camera. Coach Truck, what's up?
You see who's hosting the show. So, them cats that pick the Rams.
Ain't showing. Just put that picture up, Coach. Make them feel good. Man, I ain't gonna lie. We touched on this briefly, man. The Super Bowl, a lot of people was disappointed with all mind the defensive game. I think the defensive game is good to me. You know, scoring is good. It brings excitement. But like I said, defense wins championship, and they showed the better defense held up. We got Anthony Davis, man. Anthony Davis trade. He requested a trade. We talked about it briefly last week. I'm
cutting all that out because you ain't a Laker fan.
Let me rewind it back.
You have rescinded your Laker fandom
for this season. I have, so let me rewind it back.
So you have no opinion on this subject.
So to all you to my true Laker fans, Billy Hobbs, Justin Tall, Leon Mack, Todd Tischner, and them guys. Chris Jones, who does stuff beyond the game. Hey, to you guys, I hope you don't think this is a good trade. Is that better?
Man, all I know is by today at 3 p.m., we going to know what's going on. Hopefully he got on that Laker purple and gold, but either way, we'll see.
Let me ask you, do you think it's a good trade? Just we can move on. We ain't got to touch on it long. Do you think that's actually a good trade?
Man, I'm under the opinion now. I'm trading everybody. We trading Magic, Genie, throw in some courtside tickets, and Jack Nicholson, dog. Everybody got to go. Everybody got to go except for LeBron.
All right, Coach, got a chance to sit down with two great coaches in the Lexington area. We got my chance, Coach McKee from Scott County.
My Cardinals, baby. Yes, sir.
Run up with a state championship this year.
Sir.
And Coach Frank Parks from Bryan Station High School, man. Coach, thank you very much both for joining us, man. I guess my first question is this. When it comes down to recruiting, is it your job to get these kids seen? Do you feel like you got a kid that's good enough to get recruited? Do you try to cater to that kid? Or you figure, look, my job is to coach these kids and get them ready for the next level? How do you look at it?
Well, our program, we're always trying to help kids get to the next level. We have very candid conversations with those kids about what it takes if they want to play at the next level, and depending on what level, we do our part. But the most important part is the kids got to take care of the academics.
Well, I think it's a part of our job description. Also a part of our job description is making sure there's enough laundry detergent to wash the uniforms on Friday night after the game. Make sure, so-and-so is at practice. Make sure you got enough weight equipment. Make sure you got somebody to film the game. High school coaching is, it's all-encompassing. And, I think about people that coach college football. I've never done that, but, the ability to focus on more just on coaching. We have to do so many things, raise money, so on and so forth. But is it a part of what we do? Absolutely. We're for kids. And I know Frank's done this. I know I've done it. And I know all the coaches in this area. When a school comes by Scott County High School, and we're fortunate because we've had some good players, so we've had a lot of schools by. What they almost always say before they leave, they'll say, well, now, who are the other good kids in the area? And so I'll say, well, they got kid A and B at Station that I'd stop in and take a look at, and kid C and D at Henry Clay or whatever. We might be rivals on Friday night, but Frank wants what's best for the kids on my team, and I want what's best for the kids on his team. So we all try to help each other from that aspect of things.
Everybody wants their kid to be a D1 kid, you know what I'm saying? And I think when people say D1, they're really talking about the Power 5 conferences. Just how common, we've already explained that it's really not that common. Those kids aren't just walking the streets. How common or how often have you had D1 kids?
I've looked at some statistics on my phone. I think in 2016-17, there were 31 kids from the state of Kentucky that signed a Division I football scholarship, either Power 5 or Group of 5. So that's about 4% of the total number. Here's the thing that everybody has to understand from a Division I standpoint. number one, they have to have the measurables. And by that, I mean, and I'm sure they do this at Bryan Station, if Kentucky, Louisville, whoever's there, they'll always say, hey, can I bump in? Is there any way I could bump into Frank Parks? Well, what about they mean by bumping into him is they just want to eyeball him.
Look at him.
Absolutely.
And here's the thing. I won't use specific kids' names that are in high school, but I can use my own, like my middle son, Colby.
Mm-hmm.
All right. He was 6'4", but he was about 235, 240. Okay. He's an offensive lineman. He didn't have the measurables.
Mm-hmm.
So it doesn't matter.
Off the top, they're just not going to look at him.
And so you take a skill guy. They want one of two things from a skill guy, in my opinion. They either A, want him to run on their watch at their camp,
Mm-hmm.
or B, they want his electronically timed 100, which they can get off the track website. They don't want a hand time. They don't want to know what I said he ran.
Mm-hmm.
They're not going to offer him. And I'm not saying that I know it all. I don't.
Yeah.
Because if I could find more, better ways to help our kids, I would want to do that. But they're really not interested in how many touchdowns he scored, how many people will send out their huddle links, which huddles made it so much easier. Hey, I had this many tackles, I scored this many A,
Height, weight.
do you have the measurables?
Measurables.
B, are you academically eligible? C, I'll look at your film.
Skilled kids come a dime a dozen. I can find a 5'11" receiver that can run pretty good anywhere. So, you really have to be special off the charts when it comes to those measurables of skilled kids, So, everyone who thinks, they want to play D1 or their kid is D1, it's not as easy as it sounds.
Mm-hmm.
And us coaches just can't make college coaches take these kids no matter what we say.
And we've all gotten this phone call. I'll get a phone call from somebody that I'm friends with for whatever reason, and they'll say, hey, can you help my son? His coach didn't help him enough.
Mm-hmm.
I always chuckle inside, and what they're really saying is his coach is not helping him get the scholarship I think he deserves.
Mm-hmm.
His coach is helping him. We'll have 7 guys sign on signing day. We had 1 already signed in the early period, but the other 6 are going to Campbellsville, Georgetown, Center.
Mm-hmm.
You played at Georgetown, right? Right. He played at Georgetown. I played at Center. I mean, it's good football.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
To be able to play football at Georgetown College is a great accomplishment, in my opinion. It's very competitive. They take it very serious. And I always try to tell kids and parents, you've played football up to this point in your life because you love it.
Mm-hmm.
It's reversed now. Now you're using the game to get an education. That's more affordable.
First and foremost, most of your class you take in high school fit their core. That you have to have a graduate fit their core.
Oh, okay.
There are some things where if you don't do well in class later on down the road as a senior, you may be able to take a psychology class to make up for something you didn't do as well early on. But every year during my parent meeting, I talk about the clearinghouse, getting on there and making sure you are registered, and you got to have this GPA with this ACT score on the sliding scale. So I do it for everyone because you never know who's going to also shoot up and grow. Now, what tends to happen, a lot of people get lost in the shuffle and don't focus on an aspect of it. Even though I done had kids where I done pulled in every semester at the end of the semester about their grades. You say you want to do this, look at your transcript. You're not getting anywhere with this. I don't care how good you think you are, you're not getting in anywhere. So, I had that conversation every year. And some kids every semester about, their GPA and this is an ACT score you need. So, I set that tone very early as far as, let them know the GPA, the ACT score to match it. I've been fortunate, a lot of my kids I brought in and had pretty good grades, so they've been able to at least, get some money to play somewhere. But, education, a lot of people as freshmen don't really realize how important it is and really don't heed our advice. I'm pretty sure he had kids with the same way.
And not to sound cold-hearted, but just to try to create a realistic picture. Let's say here's my, we put a little booklet together. Every school does when they come in the spring with transcripts and all their information. And so here's player A, and you're a coach from school wherever. You're from the University of Louisville, and he comes in and says, hey, I want to take a look at Frank Parks. I heard Frank Parks is a pretty good player. if he looks at his transcript and he's not going to make the core GPA, it literally, that's it. I mean, it's just a line. It's over. And that's because, you know, in the world we live in, just think about Dallas, Texas, Miami, Florida, Atlanta, Georgia. Think about the number of kids that there are in those metropolitan areas. There's so many good players out there that they might wait on Herschel Walker's grandson if you don't know if he's going to be eligible or not. But unless this kid is just crazy off the charts, they're just moving on to the next kid. And you know, Frank talks about talking to the parents. You know, we do something very similar. But I'll guarantee you this: if there's a kid that we think, and when I say we, I would encompass any coaches in this area, is potentially a scholarship football player, and they're not getting the job done in the classroom, it almost becomes a daily conversation. Because you're at practice with them, you're in the weight room with them, you're like, come on, Coach B. I mean, you got an F in English, bud. So, you know, I mean, we do everything that we can do as coaches to help promote our kids, because if a child does go on and gets a football scholarship, it can only help our programs.
You know, that's why the first thing I did when I took over, I implemented study hall twice a week. Because when I first took over, you know, I couldn't show a lot of transcript to coaches because, you know, these kids were nowhere close to qualifying. So the first thing I did was, and we lose a little practice time, but I was like, it does me no good if these kids can't academically qualify and can't move on like on down the road. So, you know.
One other thing we want to talk about is, and I know you hear this a lot, you know, a lot of people say, oh, because you run such and such offense, you know, nobody runs that offense, nobody's going to recruit that kid. How do you answer to that or deal with that as far as recruiting is concerned?
Well, I mean, my first responsibility is to put our kids in a position to win. And, you know, we've won at least 10 ball games for 11 years. And, you know, we love what we do. It's a culture. Our kids excel in that. And to be honest with you, from a foot speed standpoint, sometimes we're not the fastest team in this area. And I think that what we do has given us a great advantage. Now, as far as whether or not they recruit somebody, I've never heard it. No offensive line coach said, Brian Hudson is in the wing T, I'm not going to offer him. We've had 9 starting quarterbacks since I've been in Scott County in 23 years. 7 of them have got some kind of football scholarship. You know, Josh Davis started 4 games this year at Campbellsville as a true freshman in their offense. So, I mean, honestly, I think it's a non-factor. I think that is just something fun to talk about for somebody. I mean, Frank could address that. I mean, you know, he's...
Because you kind of shifted from a pure spread, you know, throwing it around to more of it's almost an option offense out of the shotgun, though, essentially.
Well,
with this year.
Basically, it all goes back to the measurable still. You know what I'm saying? Like, say, yeah, you know, the kids going to Virginia Tech. I mean, and if you go down to Georgia, a lot of teams down there still run the wing T, and that's a place where a lot of colleges go. So it's not so much the system. You carry your system to the type of kids you have. So basically, if you know you don't have kids running 4-4 quarterback, why would you put those kids in a situation they're not going to get recruited by those big time schools anyway?
I mean, and that's where I think that you feel like, man, you know, they're missing on this kid or that. I think recruiters do a really good job. I don't think they miss much. And when you look at the statistics, you know, we're very comparable to Ohio, for example. They had 4.2% of their senior football players recruited. We had 4.0. So we're very similar. And then when you think about the high-level guys, we had 2 kids from Metro Lexington, Kentucky starting for Alabama in the national championship game. Jedrick Willis played right tackle. Damon Harris is playing tailback. Landon Young, before he hurt his knee, was starting at UK. You know, Cash Daniels from Paintsville to Class A school. He's starting inside linebacker at the University of Kentucky. I mean, we've had a lot of success stories, and there have been a lot of great players. I tweeted that out. I was having fun over Christmas. You know, who are the best 5 guys that I've gone against? And, of course, immediately somebody I didn't put on the list. But, you know, I'm old enough to remember J.T. Haskins, Eric Shelton, Shane Boyd, You know, there have been a lot of tremendous football players in this area.
With all the moving pieces going on in high school football, kids feel like they got to go here to be recruited. Kids feel like they got to go there to be recruited. What's your take on that? Because, like you said, you could have took Brian Hudson, put him anywhere in the state of Kentucky, he would been recruited.
Well, I'll probably send him more than he has. You know, like at the time when Lafayette had the big boys over there, and a couple of them got offered. You know, you heard some kids, I'm gonna go Lafayette because they getting offers. Well, they get offers because these kids are 6'7", 6'6". You know, you don't find them. They're not offering just anyone just because you go to a school. You know,
Absolutely.
a lot of people don't understand the process, and you know.
And I think that's a hard thing to do as a parent. You know, I mean, I'm a parent. I've had 3 boys come through our system. And today's world has changed. You know, there are a lot of athletic trainers out there. There are travel 7-on-7 teams. You know, schools that market themselves a lot better than what they used to. I mean, I have a Twitter account. I know you do too. I try to put out positive things about our school. At the end of the day, though, you know, I personally have not experienced a kid getting an offer because he was at school A instead of school B. But really, at the end of the day, as hard as this sounds, the number one thing you can do is trust the process. Take care of yourself, and then you got to trust the process. If my son was going to Bryan Station right now, the best thing I could tell him is do what Coach Park says. Do what Coach Park says. Well, I think one thing that you have to understand from the camp circuit is what are you trying to get out of it? And by that, here's what I mean. If Kentucky has a one-day football camp and they have 400 campers, they've met as a staff before that camp, and they've said, here are the 5 kids that we're looking at. The other 395 are there to get the camp experience and get a T-shirt and get a picture taken with the coach. They're not looking at those guys. And so you have to understand that if a certain school hasn't directly invited you and told your coach, I want to see Frank Parks in our camp, we're going to evaluate him, then you're just going for the camp experience. You're probably not going to get a chance to get evaluated and get offered.
I mean, that's facts. And usually what I do is I sit down, especially with those juniors, say, here's a list of schools you need to go to. Talk to these coaches. They want to see you. They're interested. It's usually about 4. I say, you know, if you want to go to University of Kentucky for the experience or go one that you like. I said, but about 4 is the max because a lot of times those schools double up at camps anyway. They're going to send somebody to this camp, to that camp. And I usually sit down and give them a list now.
But I can tell you this. The high school football coaches that are good, that I know, that I have worked with on a you know, competed against or know on a personal level in the Metro Lexington area, every one of them are doing everything they can to try to help their players.
And you know, I think that's why we did this, because I think it was a big misconception of what our coach is doing. Are the coaches really helping?
The last thing I would share would be, and I hate to keep beating on the same drum, but I cannot stress enough. If I were a parent and I had a child and he was in the 8th grade and he's getting ready to go to high school and I think he wants to be a college football player or he thinks he does or his coach does, whatever, I can't stress enough the importance of the academics. It's not okay to come home with a C or a D and then still be, you know, I always get on mine if they forget their shoes for workouts in the morning. I'm like, you didn't forget your phone. I said, so what was more important to you today, your shoes or your phone? Man, I mean, here's the sliding scale at Campbellsville, and if I got a 20 on the ACT, I get X. But if I get a 24 on the ACT, I get Y. Wait a minute, I just got $4,000 a year times 4 years. I just made $16,000 off 4 ACT points. And so I would just, you know, don't feel like as a parent that you're being too hard on your child by saying these are the standards academically, and you got to meet them.
Have to. I mean,
They addressed a lot of things we've heard. You know, like people will say, oh, my coach ain't helping my son or the coach ain't doing nothing. But we find that coaches do a lot more than people think on the outside looking in. So it was good to get their point of view. And like they said, if they can't make a college take a kid. So, I mean, that was good stuff.
And you know, the good thing about it, what I love about them, to carry on what you said, is they don't want all the response. They don't want all the blame. and they don't want all the credit.
Yeah.
So when people post stuff and sell their program, they love that, and that's a good idea. But you can't give a coach too much credit for a kid being recruited or not being recruited.
Yeah.
So I love that part.
Yeah, it was great, man.
Yes, sir.
So Jason Capel or Chapel, I'm not sure. Coach Trust messing up names, Coach. As soon as I get with you, I'll get you together, Coach.
We ain't getting an interview now, Coach. We ain't gonna get an interview now.
But he is not a head coach at Great Crossings, and it's going to be fun to see how this program builds, coming up. Do they challenge Scott County? Also coming up, we got the region wrestlers. We want to give a shout out to the wrestlers. Next week, stay tuned. We covered they had the first ever girls state wrestling meet. The region wrestling tournament for boys will be at Lafayette Friday and Saturday. So if you want to check out some wrestling, come to Lafayette. It's going to be a lot of good wrestling going on.
Hey, as always, follow us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. Hit the subscribe button on YouTube. Coach, anything else you want to cover?
Oh, man, great show, Coach.
Man, I definitely enjoyed the interviews, man. So for Big Things Kentucky, we ask you to continue to be a living donor. I'm Coach Bew, my man, Coach T behind the camera, Coach Truck.
Hey.
Yes, sir.